The original was not very good. Then came the real deal, followed by the ST. On this edition of Test Drive, the Ford Focus RS. When Ford dropped the Focus ST and its 250 horsepower engine, it signalled it meant business and was going to tackle the traditional hot hatches like the Golf GTI and WRX. It also marked the biggest step forward since the adoption of the European platform. Now comes the audacious RS. It is still a bit of a sleeper, large spoiler aside, so it slips by unnoticed except for those in the know. The cabin of this vehicle speaks to performance. These Recaro seats are superb when you're playing, and yet they're not confining. Great flat bottom steering wheel, wonderful driving position, and you get some extra gauges, including a boost gauge. The other thing that really impressed me was the clarity of the infotainment screen. It is tablet-like and then some. The making of the RS starts under the hood. The 2.3-litre turbocharged four-cylinder puts out a dizzying 350 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque at 3,200 RPM. This means that each pony only has to motivate around 4.5 kilograms of car, which explains the response to throttle input. The only transmission is a 6-speed manual. The ratios do a good job of making the most of the power at play. The downside is the high rev rate on the highway. What gets lost in all of the talk about drift mode and horsepower is the fact that this RS loses nothing in terms of flexibility. There's 562 litres with the seats upright and 1,240 litres with them folded flat. The only nit is the fact that there's a drop-off between the trunk floor and the seat back when they're folded down. From the gearbox, the power reaches the road through an advanced all-wheel drive system. When the wheels begin to slip or the computer detects steering input, a torque vectoring system kicks in. 2 clutches at the rear axle allow up to 70% of the power to be sent to one wheel, or it can act like a limited slip differential. Beyond that, it limits understeer by dabbing the brake on the inside rear wheel. The combination all but banishes the usual vices. Given that 60% of the weight sits over the front wheels, the RS proved to be remarkably neutral. So how does a powerful engine, a slick gearbox, and an all-wheel drive system hook up in the real world? The answer is in stunning style. This RS will get you from rest to 100k in less than 5 seconds, and it does the more important 80 to 120 passing move in 4th gear in around 3.5 seconds. Any way you cut it, both of those times are truly world class. With a ton of power and the ability to put it to pavement, the RS focuses on the job of delivering handling. The suspension uses much stiffer springs than the ST, and it gets 2-stage damping. When track mode or a button on the turn signal is activated, the damping becomes 40% stiffer. Yes, too stiff for regular driving, but ideal for the pylon test. The steering mirrors this work ethic. It is poised and very quick to obey input. You can also tweak everything from the aforementioned sport to track and of course the now infamous drift mode. You know, there's absolutely no question that this Focus RS is very expensive. However, it arrives with tons of power and tenacious handling, and yet it gives up nothing in terms of versatility. In the end, you have a street-legal missile that's ideally suited to the driver with family obligations.